Hello there. I was going to cover this miserable police fiasco in a video yesterday, but my blood was boiling to the point I could have put this channel at risk, so I had to force myself to sleep on it. Be in no doubt, the establishment has declared a war on its own people. The very people who legitimise it through our now rotten democratic processes and who are then heavily taxed for the privilege. And this has been brought into stark relief by the actions of the Met Police yesterday. All after that empty speech that Rishi Sunak gave outside Number 10 just a few days ago. The Met Police again facilitated and shepherded yet another pro-Palestine march in central London yesterday. But one lone counter-protester who was holding up a large poster that said on it, "Hamas is terrorist," was, as far as I can tell, assaulted by the pro-Palestine mob, and instantly the police were all over the lone counter-protester, bundling him away, tearing the poster out of his hands, and one police officer screwed it up and walked off with it. While 4 to 5 other officers forced the counter-protester to the ground and handcuffed him, and a large group of them needlessly surrounded him for quite some time. Maybe they were too scared to go back to the march in case they saw something that would require them to arrest a pro-Hamas marcher. And Hamas has, of course, been proscribed by the UK government as a terrorist organisation. Obviously, the Met either hasn't become aware of it yet, or they just don't care, or worse. The Met should instead have instantly arrested the people assaulting that brave lone protester, Iranian-born Niyak Ghorbani. Yes, he's from Iran. And for info, my co-pilot on this channel, Richard, is also part Iranian. So the Met charged in and hauled Mr. Ghorbani away instead of anyone else. Strange that Mr. Ghorbani has been attending a lot of these marches quite prominently with the same message, and the police hadn't noticed him before. It appears that telling the truth is now a crime in London. Very 1984, isn't it? Now, the Met said it policed 11 major events yesterday with 2,300 officers, including 500 from around the country. 8 football matches, an international rugby match, a march for the end of violence against women and girls, as well as the pro-Palestine march. And in all, they arrested 6 people. All of them, as far as I can tell, in relation to the pro-Palestine march. And one of the 6 was Niyak Ghorbani, who was later de-arrested. Here's what the Met said about that in a statement. During the main pro-Palestinian protest march, a further man was arrested for assault during an altercation between protesters and counter-protesters in order to prevent a breach of the peace. After officers fully reviewed footage provided of the incident, he was later de-arrested. Despite online commentary, he was not arrested for what was displayed on a placard. De-arrested after officers fully reviewed footage provided of the incident. I gather that was video evidence provided by members of the public. Had that not been available, do you really think Mr. Ghorbani would be walking around free this morning? What of the police video evidence? Talk about a heavy-handed response. Looks like they had Ghorbani tagged as far right. It's a good job he wasn't holding up a poster saying something like, "From the river to the sea, Israel shall be free," isn't it? Also, according to a Telegraph report, the police said they had arrested Ghorbani for his own safety. That would mean he would be in physical danger from the pro-Palestine marchers, wouldn't it? Isn't that enough to shut the marches down? Here's what Ghorbani said on X. Just watch the video. It shows police grabbing me from amidst a crowd of Hamas supporters, pushing me back, forcibly taking my placard, throwing me to the ground with 5 others, and arresting me. When I asked for the reason, they first said I intended to provoke the protesters. Then, after a few minutes, they said a woman had complained of harassment by me. After my friends presented the videos to the police at the detention site, they were convinced they had made a mistake. The police are completely reckless, and it's shameful that they try to cover up their mistake without apology by lying. Shame on you. Shame at Met Police UK. #Hamas terrorist. Now I'm wondering if the police were very, very happy to arrest him, so they could add another number into their far-right statistics. But I wonder if Mr. Ghorbani has now got one of those non-crime hate incident things lodged against his name. And what also gets me about all this is that Hamas sparked this all off. So surely a peace protest would also condemn Hamas, not just Israel. Anyway, it's good that this is all now public. It's showing the silenced majority the truth of the state of our nation. Oh, and the police went mob-handed to arrest Tommy Robinson too. As I understand it, he's still very dodgily banned by the courts from going anywhere in London out to the M25. But he chose to attend a football match there with his daughter and her friends to celebrate her birthday, so probably breaking his ban. But they found him on the same day and arrested him, unlike that recent acid thrower, for example. But did they really need to arrest him? Or could they just remind him that in future he must remember to get permission to enter London? Especially considering there was no hint of trouble caused by his presence. Permission to enter London. Doesn't that sound oppressive? And if you want any more proof of where the country is headed, a member of the House of Lords, Baroness Faulkner, who is a former Lib Dem and born in Pakistan, told The Telegraph, "New arrivals in this country must live by our values. I am worried about the state of democracy." And she says that the lack of a requirement for newcomers to integrate has led to a segregated society. She's now the head of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, the EHRC, a position she had to defend through the courts after what I interpret as a blob-coordinated attack trying to oust her. And I think we can understand why so many in our establishment might want to get rid of her, because she's obviously guilty of wrong-think, despite being a Lib Dem and an immigrant. And the segregation she talks about is now affecting our healthcare sector. Do you remember Dr. Dimitrios Saroudakis, who said some very vile things about patients and fellow clinicians, some of it anti-Semitic? His punishment was being suspended from practicing medicine for a few months. But that ban ends soon, where the tribunal said that he was not a racist, but someone quite comfortable with using discriminatory language. Remember that one? Anyway, Tory MP Sir Michael Ellis, a former Attorney General, has asked the Health Secretary Victoria Atkins to review this decision. Speaking in the House of Commons, Sir Michael said, "I am concerned this doctor may be a danger to Jewish patients, and I'm also concerned that this tribunal is defective and their decision is grossly unreasonable." She replied that the Prime Minister had made it clear in his recent Downing Street speech that there are people whose ideology and dogma are in direct conflict with our shared values as a country. Just as we will not stand for that across the country, nor will I stand for that in our NHS. Well, if we don't stand for it in our country, why are there so many here doing what they are doing? And how many of them are in the NHS? And the Times is running with a story about an asylum seeker who arrived from Thailand in 2011, whose application appears to have been turned down numerous times, but he was allowed to stay as long as he didn't work. So he set up a limited company and ran a prostitution business through it. And when I checked this morning, the limited company is active on the Companies House website and he is still a current director. Who the hell is our Home Office working for? And over in the Netherlands, King Willem-Alexander is due to attend the opening of a Holocaust museum in Amsterdam. But 200 mosques are asking him not to, because President Isaac Herzog of Israel will also be attending. It seems the politics of the Netherlands is yet another to be affected by, or rather infected by, the Gaza situation. Oh, and don't get me started on Humza Useless Yousaf sending an extra 250 grand to the UNRWA, an organisation mired in accusations of basically being a Hamas front. I'm hoping the Scots voters will be sending him and his SNP rabble a stark message when polling day comes around. At the end of the day, our uniparty establishment has forced the UK to be too open and too tolerant. And they've done it without the permission of the now silenced majority.